First up is how to safely walk among the Bibberbang and other hostile mushrooms in the Underdark without activating them. This can be helpful when saving Baelen from the field of Bibberbang Mushrooms without having to worry about them activating at all, and for picking up the Noblestalk in the same area. Now, to get the mushrooms to not activate when you walk near them, you need an item called the Sovereign's Key. This key is described as polished, well cared for, and very important. Now, the only way to get this key is by slaying Sovereign Spaw and looting it from its corpse. Now, there are two ways to go about doing this. You can progress the quest chain against the Duergar with Glut and eventually side with Glut, which involves slaying Spaw, and combat will end with Spaw's demise. Or you can slay Spaw immediately upon entering the Myconic Colony, but that might cause the whole camp to attack you. However, if you're good at getting away using an invisibility potion, this works too if you want to get the key sooner. Either method you choose, this key can be very helpful and even save your life when jumping on ledges covered with Torchstalk or Bibberbang. And if you like that tip, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button for more Baldur's Gate 3 videos. And next up is how to get BOOOAL'S Benediction for your whole party without sacrificing a companion. This condition grants advantage on all attacks against bleeding creatures, which can be extremely powerful when playing with a Tiger Heart Barbarian in your group. Also, as of patch 6, BOOOAL'S Benediction persists through death and is actually a truly permanent condition now. To get this for free, you'll need to initiate conversation with one party member while your sleight of hand character is further away so they don't get pulled into the conversation. Then, once dialogue begins, you drink a potion of invisibility on your sleight of hand character and pickpocket Pool Drip the Zealous. You want the Sickle of BOOOAL. Once you've stolen it, proceed through dialogue with your original character, choosing the Arcana dialogue, and then tell BOOOAL that you have another offer. You have just one life, but can kill many in his name. It's a DC 20 persuasion check, so come prepared, but if you succeed, your whole party will get this newly permanent buff without sacrificing anyone in order to get it. And next up is the Bloodmarrow Skeleton Pet. This red skeleton glistens with blood and causes targets to bleed when it attacks them. It's also super rare because the only way to get one is as an Oathbreaker Paladin, and you need to approach a certain fight the correct way. These Bloodmarrow skeletons are summoned by Orin in Act 3 after you defeat the Baal worshippers who are causing her to regain Unstoppable each turn. Once all of them are dead, Orin will cast a spell called Sanguine Animation, which summons these Bloodmarrow skeletons from their corpses. Then, as an Oathbreaker Paladin, you can use Control Undead on it, making the Bloodmarrow skeleton your minion. And next up is Myrkul's Gift. This buff grants 10 temporary hit points, and creatures that strike them with a melee attack while the temporary hit points are active take 10 cold damage. This is essentially Armor of Agathis. This buff can be granted to your entire party, which can be helpful right before going up against a boss. To get this buff, you'll need to head to the Mind Flayer Colony in Act 2 right after you defeat Ketheric Thorm the first time, and then in there you'll find the barracks with the Mistress of Souls, Cressa Bone Daughter. She will accuse you of being an attacker, but if you pass the dialogue checks, you can ask her for her blessing. She will then give you this buff, and any party member can go up and ask for it afterwards without having to pass any further dialogue checks. It's a nice hidden buff that most players probably missed. And next up is a hidden interaction with Feign Death. This spell makes you resistant to all damage other than psychic, as well as causing poisons and diseases to have no effect for 10 turns as you lay in a protective coma. However, this spell is actually great for getting away with crime. If you commit a crime, you can cast Feign Death on yourself, and everyone looking for the criminal will completely ignore you as you lay there at the scene of the crime. Now, usually the second you grab something, you'll be noticed, but by casting Fog first, it gives you cover in order to commit your crime, and then you can follow it up with Feign Death and wait out the crime investigation. Then, after 10 turns, you can get up and just walk away. And you can learn Feign Death as a level 5 Bard, Cleric, Druid, or Wizard. And next up is Spirit of the Land. This grants +1 to all ability scores and +2 meters movement speed. This applies to your whole party and will last for the rest of the game. But getting this buff is actually quite rare considering how many things need to go exactly right. You'll need to save Halsin in Act 1 and then save the Grove. In Act 2, you'll need to ensure Isabel lives and that you lift the Shadow Curse by speaking with Arcullo and defending the portal. You'll need to then find Oliver and complete that quest chain. Then in Act 3, you'll also need to save Halsin from dying to Orin at the Murder Tribunal. It's not guaranteed that Halsin gets kidnapped, but if he dies here, you're not going to get Spirit of the Land. Then, when you finally reach the High Hall, you and your whole party will get this buff. Also, so need to make sure that Halsin was actually in your party at least once too in order to get this. And next up is Lae'zel's Child. In Act 1 within the Githyanki Creche is a hatchery with a single Githyanki egg. If you steal the egg and keep it in Lae'zel's inventory for the remainder of the game, during the epilogue you'll actually get a dialogue option to ask Lae'zel what happened to the egg she took. She'll explain that it hatched and it's a boy that she named Zan, which means freedom. Lae'zel explains that she is going to give him a destiny of his own choosing and that he can choose to be a warrior if he wants, or a poet, explorer, or scholar, because she was now afforded a destiny of her own choosing, and so too will he. And next up is Terazul. Now this item might not seem like much at first glance, saying that it makes you move faster, but in reality it is actually the exact same as haste, but doesn't require an action or bonus action to use, and it also stacks with haste. This is pretty amazing considering it's really cheap and easy to acquire, but there is one drawback. It only lasts 2 turns and then you get lethargic from it. So if you can end a fight in 2 rounds, which certainly happens a lot, then this is perfect for those situations. And you should stock up. To get Terazul, you'll need to head to the Guild Hall in Act 3. The fastest way there is taking the waypoint to Basilisk Gate and then entering the manhole just west of it. From there, head west by breaking down a weakened wall and a locked door. Then you're there, and you can purchase Terazul from Severn, the Guild Hall bartender. And next up is a hidden spell that some of your minions actually have, which will allow them to reveal invisible enemies for you. That spell is Detect Hidden Presence. Now it's not on your bars and it's not something you can use for your minions. This spell is automatically used by minions you cannot control when they encounter invisible enemies. Similar to how NPCs will use this when you turn invisible, your NPC minions will also do the same. Now the only minions I know of that you can summon and not control are the ghouls from Dance Macabre, but I'm sure this would happen on other NPC minions that you summon. So next time you don't have See Invisibility, just cast Dance Macabre to reveal your enemies. And next up is the Wolf Spider Web. This ability is really underrated. It doesn't cost a spell slot like the spell Web does, and when an enemy gets enwebbed, you now have advantage on all attacks against that target, and they also have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. This means Shadowheart will finally be able to hit with Sacred Flame. But Sacred Flame isn't the only cantrip or spell that triggers a dexterity saving throw. Fireball does half damage if the target succeeds their dexterity saving throw, so Web can help make your fireballs deal more damage, and there's a ton more like Lightning Bolt, Call Lightning, Hunger of Hadar, or Hellish Rebuke that all deal half damage on a dexterity save. And as a secret bonus, you can jump into a web from any height to prevent falling damage, and since it doesn't cost a spell slot, your Wolf Spider is kind of like a constant free feather fall. And next up is how to get permanent advantage on saving throws for your whole party. Now this is possible through a condition called Clinging Shadows. This is from the Shade Clinger armor. It's granted when wearing the armor while obscured. However, this can be applied to your whole party because once you have the Clinging Shadows, you can replace the armor and keep the condition. This means that you can have the next party member get this condition and pass it on until your whole party has this. The nuance is that you need to have the condition when you take the armor off, and to get the condition, you have to stand in an obscured area. To find an obscured area, just hold shift and it will show you a small sun icon, and when it's half filled or empty, then that area is obscured. It's pretty amazing considering its advantage on all saving throws, which can really make your entire party much more powerful. To get the armor, all you have to do is purchase it off Quartermaster Tally and Last Light Inn. And last up, we have Breeze Swift Speed. This condition grants advantage to all attack rolls and adds 1d8 force damage. This is notable because it should go away after your next attack roll, but when used for an unarmed attack, throwing, or a spell, the condition is not removed, allowing you to get several attack rolls with advantage and extra force damage. Breeze Swift Speed comes from the armor Garb of the Land and Sky when you use Step of the Wind, a monk bonus action learned at level 2. This can be quite powerful in the right build for an extra 2d8 force damage per turn if used with extra attack.